Hello, everyone. Welcome to our December edition of Ask Asbury. Hard to believe we launched this series a year ago in January of 2025. After nearly a full year of powerful conversations focused on well-being, purpose, and the people who make Asbury such a special community. Over the past 12 months, Ask Asbury has become more of a series of interviews. It's become a space for learning, reflection, and connection, which is a very important part of this series. Thanks to Sue Paul, our fearless leader. I've had a great idea, and hopefully you loyal listeners won't turn this off right now, but I wanted to interview Sue because of all the great work that she does. I think sometimes in asking the questions, she has really strong feelings about some of the things that she might be asking others about that she'd love to get out there. So today we're going to do a little bit of that. And I know she's nervous because I haven't told her any of these questions. So if they're too hard and we stump her, it'll be fun. Just kidding. That's really not true. She knows the questions. So today we're going to do this conversation, and it really is going to be a lot about what's in Sue's head. And that's what I'm excited about because I'm never left out of a conversation with Sue without learning something. And that's what I think is really cool. And I just wanted to say that on camera to you, that I think it's really important, the knowledge that you bring to us as an organization and what you're trying to accomplish and what your team is accomplishing every single day as it relates to well-being and brain health. So thank you for that. I'm really glad you're on the other side of the microphone because now I control what we're doing today, and I think that's kind of fun too. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's start off with a real easy one. You've had a full year of monthly well-being conversations. What inspired you to launch this podcast, Ask Asbury, and what impact do you hope it's having on our communities?
Well, I am a podcast nerd on my own. Like, I do listen to podcasts of all different kinds. But I thought it would be fun because for whatever reason in my network, in my line of work, I do get to meet some pretty interesting people. And we have some really interesting conversations. And I was thinking that would be a really fun thing to interview this person on camera and let them bring their insights to Asbury, because it's just fun to be curious and it's fun to learn. So I was just hoping to bring that sort of connection, as you said, to the residents and, friends of Asbury.
That's really cool. And as I sit here and listen to you with that response, I'm thinking to myself, 2 years ago when we began to talk about all this and kind of move in this direction, we only knew what we knew. Mm-hmm. And I'm imagining that the conversations that you've had so far have really helped not only enhance our opportunities for the residents and the associates, but also you've learned a few things along the way. Mm-hmm. Talk about a couple of things that you've learned in some of the conversations you've had that you've brought to the program.
Okay. Well, I hate to pick a favorite.
It's okay.
Person.
It's just us.
Well, it's just us. The one that stands out to me the most is when I got to talk to Shelley Mullenix in August for Heat Safety Awareness Month. And, you can go to the grocery store and in the People magazine, there'll be some heat safety guidelines, So I wanted to think of something, an interesting way to talk about heat safety. Shelley Mullenix works for the football organization at LSU. She started at Florida State as a student athletic trainer. Then she became the first female athletic trainer for the Florida State Seminoles. I'm a fan. And then she moved over to LSU and became a football trainer with the organization at LSU. So she's been keeping really large, sweaty men safe in the heat, like in the swampy South, for a lot of years. And so I wanted to hear her perspective on how, what they do for their athletes, but how that would translate to maybe an older adult or, somebody my age. And what I found was the parallels are really cool because, she went over all the guidelines about, what to do when it's too hot, staying hydrated, all the typical things, but also, tips about check your medication, drink even when you're not thirsty, go out at different times of the day. Some of that's pretty basic. But one fun thing about Shelley is that she she became at LSU not just a trainer for the physical stuff, but she became, they called her Mama Shelley, the team, because those boys were away from their moms and they didn't have their maternal figure. So she got her master's in social work so she could be more holistic in her approach with the athletes and give them that piece that was missing. And that piece that was missing was this emotional and mental well-being and sense of connection. So Shelley brings that to those athletes, and I'm like, this is such a great parallel for what we try to do in our well-being program too, like bring all of our resources and our best selves and our most holistic thinking to serve our residents. So I thought that's what I came away with from that, was like how similar they are for being so different.
Very, very interesting. And as I was listening to you answer, I'm thinking to myself, all the things that my parents used to say to me, that I'd be like, that's not that important. And now you're saying it to your own children, like, you got to drink more water. You can't eat all of these bread. It's carbohydrate, and on and on and on. It's just, it's interesting to hear it. The simple stuff sometimes is the most impactful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, this year Asbury received ICA recognition for our commitment to well-being. I think that's just like awesome. It's one of my big goals, is for our teams to be recognized as well as our residents on the national stage. I think it's a pretty cool thing. How did that acknowledgement reflect the work you're leading, and what does it mean for the future of well-being across the organization as well as the industry?
Well, I got to say, it's very cool to be recognized at these industry conferences and stuff, just for the Asbury name.
Sure.
So Asbury has quickly become a leader in well-being. I didn't realize how hard that was to do until we started doing it. And all the people that come out of the woodwork saying, how did you do it? What can we do? And we became the experts in how to design well-being programs, how to execute them, how to involve the residents in their opinions about what they would want to see, the 7 dimensions of wellness we always talk about. Like all of our material or our philosophy for well-being, it seems second nature to us. Our teams do it so well. Our residents speak the same language. We created the culture, I think, around well-being, not just as a program, but as a culture. And I think that's just been, it is hard to replicate. So it's been fun to be not only just recognized, but an influencer in the space too.
Sure. And I often think to myself as the future resident, as we talk about a lot, and there's a lot of theories of what the future resident would want and need, and I think that the work that we're doing as an organization really helps that. Talk a little bit about how you see, 10 years down the road, what this might morph to be.
Oh, that's exciting. So this is where I get curious about things. And it's what I'd like to bring to Asbury eventually, because we try to bring responsible, evidence-based practices into our campuses, because we're not just going to be, going by some trend or something. So I think what's interesting in the field of health and longevity is what they're doing, things like red light therapy, sauna, like say a continuous glucose monitor to see what spikes your blood sugar, and how you can control your diet more accurately, and more precision health metrics. I think that's going to be ubiquitous. I think everybody's going to be able to pop over their phone and see their sleep and their nutrition and their blood sugar levels, and it's all going to be very easy to access. So I think the programming 10 years from now is going to be very, very precision, specific to each individual, and a lot easier to tackle the things you're not paying attention to.
Yeah, I think that's a great concept, and I also think a lot about, as we're looking at the future and the future consumer, like I really think the AI term is overused, because everything's AI if you really think about it. There's so much to that, but thinking about, how do we help our associates engage in this? Because I think the one thing, as I look back, that I know we've tried a lot of different things to get people engaged, it's still a little hit and miss with the associates. And like, how do you think we could help our associates be more interested in well-being programming, learning, growing, eating better, all the things?
Yeah. Well, I think our associates, they're such hard workers, and they're stretched not just for their dollars, but their time. So I think as more of the stuff is just available at home, to follow along with us from home would be a great service, I think. A lot of our benefits through the insurance benefits and things like that, try to push that. But that does take a person that's going to reach out and do that on their own,
Sure.
But I think that, like I said, the culture of Asbury is very well being focused, and they hear it all the time, so they know when a resident is in better shape than they are.
Yeah.
They see that and they're like, oh, I gotta get on that,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I really am excited as we look forward and we think about. I know you and I talked the other day about this fascination I have with this guy in Norway that's doing all these like videos of different things he's doing, and now I can't stop watching it. And I'm like, I keep seeing all these cool things. I'm like, wow. And I remember our first ever and just for the viewers, Sue tells me a lot of stuff, and it's good stuff, but there's a lot of, I tend to be a little bit cynical on the front side, so she'll tell me something, and like the one thing that I would give to Sue the most props for, and I'm not saying this just because we're in the same room, is my curiosity is piqued every time we talk about something that you're thinking about. And it's interesting because she'll come to me and she'll say, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, you're the expert. What do you think? It's that kind of thing. But it's really, really cool because I get off the phone and I think to myself, wow, I got to look that up. And sometimes I don't even tell you because you're telling me something. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, I have no idea what she's saying, but I got to go look this up and like really learn something. So I think, kudos to you and the team. They're really challenging because I know at the beginning, we've had some residents that said, well, we don't need that, or that isn't going to work, or I'm not. So talk about, a couple of, no names, but a couple of success stories that we've had within the programs that you're really proud of.
Yeah, well, it's been a challenge because mostly our brain health program, our Connections Brain Health program, being very new to market, like nobody's doing it. So what's our proof of concept in it other than just trust us,
Sure.
Just trust us. It's going to be great.
Sure.
So that was a big leap of faith for them. But I fell back on the principles of neuroplasticity, new learning, graded challenges, like just the thing that's in the research. So it's not just my whimsical idea. It's, here you go. This is what we're basing our ideas on. And as long as I can do that, I think I can recruit enough people to try it, right? So there's always the early adopters, people who'll do anything. They will bungee jump from the crane if you put it out there,
Well, there's an idea. Maybe we should try that.
It's just an idea, Todd. And then there's the people who are the fence sitters that aren't quite sure. They want to wait and see. And then there's the people who are just not going to do it. They just don't want to, and that's fine, So we don't really spend a lot of time on the people who are a hard no, that's fine.
Sure.
It's more those fence sitters that just want to wait and see, so we have some outcomes to share and testimonials, and they start feeling better about it, and then we go from there.
Yeah. I often think about all the different pieces and parts of the program, and the one that I'm the most excited about, I always get the most excited about, is the Rocksteady Boxing. I remember the first time you introduced the concept to me, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But, you try to envision what it'll be versus what it is, and how it's starting to take off in some of the other campuses in above and beyond A&V. So talk a little bit about what's the future of that, how that might continue to evolve.
Well, who knew that Asbury had such a large community of boxers?
Sure.
Everybody's boxing now,
Sure.
So it's at, so we have boxing studios at AMV and Bethany Village, and also at Asbury Spring Hill. But we have smaller boxing equipment, boxing corners in the other campuses too. Every campus has a certified Rocksteady boxing coach, which is somebody who can do a boxing program for people with Parkinson's, and that's a huge thing too. But the more people who do it, they realize, like, oh, I guess I could do it too, right?
Yeah.
And they worry about the right things.
Sure.
I don't want to hit it too hard. I have thin bones.
Right.
And we work around that. And they're trying something new that's kind of hard. They feel very athletic and sporty after they do it. They get their heart rate up. So that's just been so fun to see. And that's not even something we have to convince anybody anymore. There's no recruitment strategy there. It's like people sign up. They can't wait to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I'm often reminded of the resident at Spring Hill when we did the grand opening. It's like, we don't need this. And now he's one of the biggest users.
That's so true. Yeah.
And he's come around and said, wow, this is a great thing. And it's just always, it's the entire program to me, I always am just so excited to hear the stories from the staff about how, the percentages of people who either maintained or improved versus not that have engaged. And, not that I think we need to prove it to people, but I think sometimes you need to prove it to yourself that, we're on the right track and we're making a difference. And, our job and some of the things that we have to always be thinking about is, how do we offer activities that make people's lives more enjoyable in whatever way, shape, or form. And I think, these programs have done a great job of that.
Thank you.
Well-being has been the foundation of every one of these Ask Asbury segments. And thinking about all the segments and all the conversation, how has your thought process changed as you've had these conversations where we thought we might be going in one direction and then now we've pivoted to something else? Talk a little bit and maybe give an example of a time that's happened.
Oh my gosh. So we try to align the Ask Asbury topics with awareness months. So January is usually about new beginnings or setting goals or something like that. And then February is Heart Health Month, and March is our Brain Health Month. And so we kind of tie it to a theme that way. So usually I'm pretty sure of the topic. I've chosen the expert I'm going to interview, so I kind of know where we're going to go. But then there's some nebulous ones, not nebulous, but so active aging and healthy aging, that's in the fall because we have Active Aging Week through ICAA. So I had Colin Milner on the show in September, I think it was, and he's the CEO and president of International Council of Active Aging, which is ICAA. And he is a wealth of knowledge and very fun. And I had no idea which direction that conversation was going to go, because we're not just talking about, these 5 principles. We're talking about changes in the industry, why wellness is so important, how it's such a deciding factor for a lot of people moving into senior living. How it's and you just never know. Like he'll be talking about something they're doing in Dubai and something that they're doing in Kansas. Like he's just got a lot of information, so it's fun to talk to him.
Yeah, it's interesting because from my seat, I've watched kind of the small pivots that happen along the way, and I'm also really excited about the well-being directors and the associates in the department that have they're constantly trying to come up with, hey, what ifs? And I think years ago Asbury had this kind of mantra of what if, and we think about things from a what if perspective, and I think this program has been a real great example of what happens when people are thinking about not only how to improve, but what if we did something even crazier than the last thing, and would people like it and find interest and value in it? And I think that's really neat that the expertise that you've brought onto this podcast forces the viewers and myself included to think a little bit deeper and say, interesting. Let's think more about that. So cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what's something you didn't expect to happen that's happened since we've launched this? And talk a little bit, give an example, because has there been something that, you really thought this is the way we were headed, or this is the way I wanted to head with the program, and then one morning you woke up and said, maybe not. Maybe we're going to do something different than that.
Oh, I don't know, Todd. It feels like it's been a lot of wins, back to back.
Yep.
It's been a fun ride. I think the backlash in the beginning, which and I wanted to, following your last comment, innovation used to be a bad word.
Right.
Residents don't want innovative. They want to know what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They want consistency. This is their home.
Sure.
So don't be changing it up all the time,
Sure.
But I think because society at large, we're all subject to innovation every day, and technologies are changing fast. So we're getting more comfortable with innovation, I think. And so it's not so scary. So that's the sort of thing I didn't see coming, was how disruptive maybe some of our great ideas were for the residents, and that was a good lesson for me. Practice some vulnerability and some humility, and back off and reevaluate, and so that was an interesting learning opportunity, I would say.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I always try to learn things from, every day we set out with the best intentions, and sometimes great change has unintended consequences that actually pulls back on an innovative idea because it's created some strife. And it's not only strife within our residents that we serve, but it's also a strife within the associates that work in the department that get, very like, wow, this is a great thing, and, let's not mess with it.
Right.
And, one of the things that I love the most about, the type of thinking that you do is we're not accepting status quo.
Right.
And we're always thinking about where do we have to go and how do we get there, and leveraging the people that we're providing the programs for is crucial, including the staff. And I think you've done a really good job of that.
Thanks.
So what kind of topics or themes are you excited to explore in the future? This is the part of the thing where she'll say something. Now, I just want to say for the listeners' benefit, since this is my podcast today, Sue has said evidence-based learning. She said ubiquitous and about 3 other words that I don't typically use already in this conversation. So I'm really excited about where you're going to go and what you're thinking about going forward.
That's funny, Todd. Well, so a couple things. I think what's becoming apparent in the evidence is the importance of connection and emotional and mental well-being. We see this in our kids today.
Sure.
They are not connected. There's a lot of stress, and I didn't know the word stress when I was a kid, but kids, I'm so stressed, anxiety, like some emotional mental well-being is a huge thing, and that's a hard thing to measure and quantify. Right. So it's hard to say, do we need to specifically program for that, or is that an a side effect of
See what I mean?
of what we're of a different program, But if we can just be more open to making sure that there's a good social network and foundation and purpose, and that those terms that are harder to quantify, I think, is where we need to put some thought to.
Yeah, that's a great example. And is there anything in specific that you think people might? This is the part where I'm like pre-selling something that might be coming along. Is there anything out there that you're thinking, we're definitely going to put some more effort into this?
I'm not sure what you're thinking.
I'm not thinking anything. This is my job is to get you to disclose some of the things you're thinking.
There's a big thing I think we need to work on, Todd.
I love it.
Okay,
let's hear
talk
it.
about. I'm a big brain health advocate, obviously. But once somebody gets a diagnosis of dementia, things get really tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts when somebody really needs cognitive assistance. So we've done an okay job, I think, in the last 25 years of changing what came prior to that. But our memory care model, the way we, kind of handle dementia, I think is due for an overhaul.
Love it.
Yeah, that's something we already do such a great job in brain health, not just with, our measures that we use and things like that, but we program it according to research. We really make a focus on lifestyle factors because that is low-hanging fruit. Like, they need to eat well, they need to sleep well, they need to be socialized, they need to have their basic needs met, they need to feel purposeful and useful. And these are things that we could do such a better job on. So I'm all about, first of all, getting rid of the name memory care, because as anybody who's in the brain health program knows, it's not just about memory, and really digging into what we can do to improve those people's lives, I think.
Yeah,
that's due.
I think that's great.
It's a heavy lift, but it's time.
It's definitely time, and it's definitely something that not only we need to focus on, but resource accordingly and think differently. And while this are my words, we've always been very focused on safety of residents and making sure nothing happens.
Yep.
That not enough focused on things that bring joy and things that fit where people are at, because people are at all different places along the way. And I also think about as a son of somebody who's probably teetering a little bit on needing a little bit more than they're getting right now, my mom, and I work in this business. Like, how might I leverage the CCRC or the programs that Asbury has to think differently about what's best for her, and who knows what's best for her better than her.
Right,
And
right.
when I asked this subject and I brought this up, I said, well, you know, what do you think? And she'll always say, well, I don't think anything because things are fine. And, you know, and then when you dig a little bit, you can find that there's needs.
Right,
and,
right.
and she'll admit there's needs, but she doesn't want to burden me because I'm busy. You know, that's the thing. And I said, Mom, have I ever said I'm busy to you one time? And she'll say, well, you're always busy. And I said, that's not the
Right,
question
right.
I asked you, right? And it's like, okay. And then you can get to it. So thank you for that. So this is a question that I thought might be very interested. And before I ask it, I'm just going to say, be honest, be transparent. Is there anything that you've worked on that just hasn't worked out the way you thought it would? As you've been thinking about these programs and some of the folks, is there anything that you were like, this is a winner, and it wasn't?
Well, I think I already mentioned the beginning, like 5 years ago.
Yep.
The beginning did not go at all the way I thought it was going to go.
Okay.
Is there a different failure you're thinking of?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just think these things are, you know, reflective in nature sometimes, and you know, we all think about what we think will be helpful or valued or whatever. That's all businesses do that in some way, and then, you know, the clientele tells us whether it's valued or not.
Right,
and I'm just curious if there was something that people just said, you know, because the people who are super engaged in the brain health program, they may come whisper in your ear, you know, Sue, this is really not a lot of value.
Right, right.
You know, was there anything like that?
Short answer is no.
Okay.
But I will say that we don't have, like, say, for example, the brain health program, not everybody's a part of it.
Right.
So we would get probably better feedback from the full population versus the people who are opting to be in the program.
Sure.
You know, they're opting in, so they're choosing it, and so of course I think they find value in it. You ask the rest of the people, they probably don't see value in it. So, or maybe they just don't know. But that would be a different set of data set to look at, I think.
and this question is more of my curiosity as I'm sitting here listening to your responses. You know, from a purely like your gut, are people more acceptant of the need for these types of things than maybe they were 5 years ago?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and they've kind of, you know, as things have evolved, people are kind of saying,
absolutely.
you know what, there is a place for that. It might not be for me, but there's a place for that. I understand why some of those things might happen.
Yeah, I think it's getting a lot more, people are just more relaxed to the options that are available versus the blanket offering. Everybody gets the same thing. So it's a little more, it's just nice, you know, more choice and more autonomy in deciding what you want to do. I think that's huge, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. What do you think is the biggest win in this entire last several years of our brain health and well-being focus? What's the biggest win? I know, awards aside and recognition and all that, when your feet hit the floor in the morning, like, and you think, wow, that was just fabulous, what would be something that would jump to mind?
In the big picture, I would say the fact that well-being is a priority.
Okay.
That's a big win. That's not everywhere. I thought it would be more everywhere, but it's not. So the fact that Asbury embraces that as a strategic core value, I think that's huge. But the other wins are significant. The Brain Health Program, you know, we're being published this month. It's December. We're being published in Frontiers of Neurology, our Connections program, specifically the dual tasking component of it. But you know, just the data we've received has been amazing. It's working. It's not just like Sue Paul's, you know, kudos. It's working. Like, it's actually working. We have, you know, a whole bunch of scientists that looked at the research and the data, and they did all the testing that they do to make sure that it's valid, and it's great. So one of the big wins I would say I'll share with the audience here is that our brain health program does a bunch of assessments. The brain health coaches do a five-part assessment, and one of the tests is called the MOCA, which is a global cognitive score, and then another one breaks it down into by domain, so memory, attention, executive function. So we catch sometimes people that might have mild cognitive impairment, which is usually a precursor to dementia, or somebody who's already has dementia. So for those folks that we caught in that scored in an MCI range, mild cognitive impairment, which is usually just like, all right, next year they'll have dementia probably, because that's where this goes. Almost half were converting back into normal cognitive ranges, which is huge, and you can see it in the data. So it doesn't mean it's perfect, and we haven't cured anything, but we've optimized their cognitive skills. We've cleaned up whatever thing might have been going on. Maybe it's a sensory thing. Maybe they got hearing aids at our encouragement. Maybe they're sleeping better, eating better, socializing more, or they're participating in our brain health dual tasking program. Maybe that was the secret sauce after all.
Sure.
Something's working though, and that's been extraordinary to see. And we are the first. I mean, I told you we were first to market with the whole brain health thing,
Yep.
but we're the first ones to have actual data to report to the whole scientific community and to the wellness community and to the senior living community. So it's just fun. And thank you to the Asbury residents for, participating and being part of this really important change.
Yeah. I think back to what we kind of hoped would happen, right? And
Yes.
where we are today, and I think that our hopes were probably a little shorter than they are now. They're probably bigger and more, more magnificent, so to speak,
Yeah.
of what we, hope we can do.
Exceeded expectations, I think. Yeah.
I absolutely think so. And it takes a village, and it takes, an engaged population of residents too that are willing to, put themselves out there a little bit and try. And I often you talk about, the competitions that happen within couples and friends and beating scores and stuff, and then it becomes more of like a sporting event, game, so on and so forth, than it is like,
Yeah.
what it might be perceived to be.
It's
by people.
different than what they expected as well. It's
Yeah.
not like brainy games. You're not
Right.
doing a crossword puzzle. I mean, it's fun, and it's that engagement really elevates everybody's participation and engagement and excitement, and gets all the good juices flowing.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Well, last question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you for a second.
Talk about me.
Yes. How do you personally practice well-being in your day-to-day life? Now, I want to preface this by, on not a daily basis, but every now and again, Sue will send me something personally because I think she's very concerned about my well-being, and that do I eat well and sleep well and all the things, because I frequently make comments about my personal desire to do better, but lack of ability to do better, it seems. So talk about you and some of the things that works for you that might be of interest to
Right.
some
Well,
folks
first of all,
out
I'm
there.
human, and my dedication or whatever, it ebbs and flows just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But, I'm a lifelong physical fitness person. Like, I was a runner in a previous life and till my knee gave out, but now I hike and I walk and I lift weights. Ladies, lift your weights every day. I do a lot of weight training. And I would love to do more sporty stuff, but I can't find anybody to do it with.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know it's my own fault. I could go play pickleball somewhere and stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so I like to stay active. I'm pretty good at it. I'm not as good, but I'm getting better at the mindfulness sort of things, because I have a hard time sitting still. But I'm 3 months in now, Todd, and you should try this. Try this at home. But I'm 3 months into a morning meditation practice, which sounds painful
Yeah.
if you're me.
Yeah.
But I actually hop out of bed and look forward to it. And
Okay.
I get right to it and center my brain and set intentions and manifestations and all that stuff. And it's really fun. It's really
There
great.
you go again. Intentions, manifestations.
I'll set you up.
All these things.
I'll set you up.
It makes me feel like I'm really missing the mark sometimes listening to you talk.
It helps you, like, later in the day when something, a fastball comes at you.
Yeah.
You are a little more resilient because you're in a positive space, and
Yeah.
you're above the fray of the madness where you could just
Sure.
get
Sure.
get annoyed right away or something, you're kind of above it. So it's a habit. You have to work at it, because I'm not, like I said, that's not my gift. But
Well, your outlook on things, positive or negative, makes a huge difference in how you feel, what you do, what's of interest to you. So that is very important.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
has it? Good. It's fun to be the talker.
This has been very fun, and I want to publicly thank you for all the work that you've done to bring us along the way you have in a very, I guess the best word I would describe it as is, just give it a chance type of thing versus, you need to do this X. It's really, and I think the team would say the same thing. You've been extremely open to ideas of, the teams that you're working with every day and some of the ideas that they have and how do you incorporate these things and, working through that. And it's been really great to watch and be part of. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's very sweet.
And this has been great for me, and I hope people didn't turn off when they saw my face and said, "Oh boy, here it comes." And this was really fun today, and I want to say thank you to the Asbury residents, the associates that bring these programs to life, that are every day working very, very hard. And it is the holidays, so I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season and drinks their green juice, meditates in the morning, and doesn't let life get too tough.
Well said.
Have a great day.